Imagine a time when computers struggled to even display a decent picture. Self-driving cars were the stuff of science fiction, and medical analysis took forever. Fast forward to today, where powerful machines render graphics so real you could swear you're in the game yourself. Cars are learning to drive themselves, and AI is helping doctors make life-saving decisions. Pretty wild, right? But this incredible transformation wouldn't have been possible without a company called Nvidia. They started small, tinkering away in a garage, and now they're at the forefront of the artificial intelligence revolution. So buckle up, grab your favorite snack, and get ready to dive into the fascinating story of Nvidia. Their humble beginnings, their groundbreaking impact, and their vision for a future that's even more mind-blowing than today. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're embarking on a fascinating exploration of Nvidia, a company that's redefined the landscape of technology. We are about to discover how a Taiwanese kid with humble beginnings came to America and transformed a garage startup into a $2 trillion company. And it all started with a casual dinner at a local Wendy's. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Our story starts back in 1963, in a small town called Tainan in the south of Taiwan. Jensen was just a kid when his dad went on a work trip to New York City. He thought his family would have better opportunities in the United States and came back home with big news. The family was moving. His mom knew they needed to learn English fast, so she drilled 10 new words into them every day. 5 years later, Jensen and his brother found themselves in Oneida, Kentucky, living with their uncle and going to elementary school. The Oneida Baptist Institute, the only school Jen's parents could afford, wasn't exactly your typical American school. It was more like a place for kids who needed a bit of extra help. Jensen's first roommate was even a 17-year-old who had just been released from prison. Talk about an interesting way to start 4th grade. But Jensen, ever the optimist, decided to be a good neighbor and started teaching his roommate math. Eventually, his parents joined them, and they all moved to Oregon. There, Jensen finished high school and went on to study electrical engineering at Oregon State University, graduating in 1984. He landed his first job at AMD, a company that designs computer chips and was disrupting the market at that time. It was a great place to learn the ropes and see how a successful tech company operates. But Jen had a bigger vision. After getting his master's degree from Stanford in 1992, Jensen met 2 guys from Sun Microsystems, Chris Malachowski and Curtis Preen, at a casual dinner. You know, the kind you might have at Wendy's. That seemingly ordinary meal ended up being the spark that ignited a $2 trillion company. How much would you have paid to be seated at that table? Fast forward to 1993, in the heart of Silicon Valley. Jensen, Chris, and Curtis all shared a passion for something called graphics processing. Back then, computers were mostly used for work and browsing the internet, and video games were still kind of a niche hobby. The graphics on these early computers were pretty bad too. The most popular game back then was something called Wolfenstein 3D, and let's just say it wasn't exactly winning any awards for realism. That same year, Jurassic Park made over $1 billion at the box office, thanks to its amazing 3D graphics. Our 3 friends saw a golden opportunity. They believed that by creating a special chip dedicated to handling graphics, called a GPU, they could make games run smoother and look way cooler. And that's exactly what they set out to do, starting out in a literal garage. Back in the day, Nvidia was like a mysterious startup with no official name. The co-founders just labeled everything as NV, you know, like next version. But then they decided it was time to get serious. So they put on their detective hats and sifted through all the words containing those 2 magical letters. They stumbled upon Nvidia, which happens to be the fancy Latin word for envy. They saw a way to level up the entire PC gaming experience by creating something totally new, a graphics processing unit, GPU, just for games. Back then, graphics were handled by the main brain of the computer, the CPU, and it was struggling to keep up. Their idea? Take the pressure off the CPU and let a dedicated GPU handle all the heavy lifting. The result? Smoother gameplay, sharper visuals, and basically a whole new way to experience games. Back in the day, Nvidia had this wild mission: convince game developers to dive headfirst into 3D gaming. Imagine trying to sell 3D games when nobody really believed in them. Picture this: Nvidia, a scrappy startup, waving its arms like a caffeinated squirrel, trying to get the attention of the big players. They had this shiny new tech, but it was still unproven. But guess what? They had a secret weapon up their sleeve, a seed investment from the heavyweight venture capital firm, Sequoia Capital. That name alone made one big company sit up and say, "Hey, let's hop on this crazy train." And that company? None other than the late 90s game legend, Sega, and they almost partnered up for their upcoming Dreamcast console. Before Nvidia could even high-five themselves for landing Sega, reality hit hard. Sega stepped back from the deal. Why? Well, by the time Nvidia finished their chip, memory prices had dropped like a rock. Competitors offered cheaper memory-packed options, leaving Sega cold. Nvidia was in hot water, running out of money fast. But our hero, Jen, wasn't about to throw in the towel. He rallied the troops, gave them a pep talk, and said, "We need to build this chip fast, like no one has ever done before." Instead of the usual 18 to 24 months to design a chip, they cranked it down to a lightning-fast 6 months. Imagine the engineers working like their lives depended on it. The new chip was born, and it made 3D game development way easier, and developers finally started hopping on board. With the success of their new chip, they started shipping new models at a much faster pace. That's how the GeForce brand was born. Gamers went bananas for it, and those GPUs flew off the shelves like hotcakes. It was like printing money. This success wasn't just about cool graphics. It paved the way for Nvidia's big break, going public. They were valued at a whopping $600 million, and if you invested $10,000 back then, you'd be sitting on $13 million today. Next stop, Microsoft and their new Xbox. Partnering with them took Nvidia to the next level, earning them over $1 billion in revenue and making the Xbox a huge success. Year after year, Nvidia was growing exponentially. But Jen knew he had to continue innovating, just like he had learned while working for AMD. So they had to carve their way into a new market. While Nvidia established itself as a leader in the graphics card market, they recognized that the potential of GPUs extended far beyond just gaming. They saw an opportunity to leverage the parallel processing power of GPUs for complex AI calculations, ushering in a significant shift in their business strategy. Around the early 2010s, the field of artificial intelligence was experiencing a resurgence. Deep learning, a specific type of AI that learns from vast amounts of data, was gaining traction, requiring immense computational power. Traditional CPUs designed for sequential processing weren't efficient for these tasks, but at the time, they weren't so sure this bet would prove feasible. Looking in hindsight, it is easy to see how they bet on the right horse, as the company achieved the market cap of $2 trillion. But at that time, AI was just a buzzword, and the technology was still in its infancy. That was what makes Jensen a visionary. He was able to position Nvidia as a market leader at various points in Nvidia's history. This strategic shift proved to be a game changer. Nvidia's GPUs became the go-to hardware for researchers and developers working on cutting-edge AI projects, from self-driving cars to medical diagnosis to natural language processing. Suddenly, researchers from universities around the world were using NVIDIA graphic cards and software to train neural networks and complex deep learning models that taught machines how to learn. They also found high demand for their chips with the cryptocurrency community, which needed the high performance of graphic processors to mine Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Nvidia's chips have since been in high demand in several applications due to its state-of-the-art performance. All the big tech companies in the world, like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, rely on Nvidia hardware to maintain their servers and create the infrastructure of the whole internet. Even Tesla uses Nvidia's chips to power the autonomous driving assistant in their cars. With the recent developments in artificial intelligence, Nvidia's chips are in record demand, and they don't seem to keep up with the demand. Looking forward, it seems like Nvidia is set to be the foundation for the technologies that will shape our future: natural language, artificial intelligence, autonomous driving, new drug development, you name it. To maintain its competitive edge, Nvidia has engaged in a series of strategic acquisitions throughout its history. For example, in 2019, they acquired the company Mellanox Technologies for $7 billion. This acquisition was crucial for Nvidia's expansion beyond the graphics card market. By acquiring Mellanox, Nvidia gained valuable expertise and technology in data center networking, further solidifying their position as a one-stop shop for AI infrastructure. NVIDIA's success story is deeply intertwined with the history of Silicon Valley. They embody the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship that thrives in this region. Their journey serves as an inspiration to aspiring startups and tech enthusiasts, showcasing the potential for local heroes to turn their ideas into global forces. Founded in a humble garage by a group of passionate individuals, NVIDIA has grown into a $2 trillion behemoth, employing tens of thousands of people worldwide. Their impact extends beyond just their economic contributions. They've fostered a culture of collaboration and innovation within Silicon Valley, attracting and inspiring countless other tech ventures. NVIDIA's story is a testament to the power of perseverance, vision, and a commitment to pushing the boundaries of technology. They are a shining example of how a local startup can not only thrive in the competitive landscape of Silicon Valley, but also become a global leader in its field. Thank you for watching. Let us know in the comments below what other companies you'd like us to explore next. Until then, keep it curious, and I see you in the next one.